We're going to talk about some ideas around couples counseling. A lot of people go to couples counseling for various reasons, and I'm telling you, 30 years of doing couples counseling, I've heard a lot of stuff, and I want to share some of the highlights, some of the lowlights, some of the things that get in the way, some of the mischief, some definite roadblocks to good couples counseling. Like, there's some real clear blueprints for couples counseling. Like, you create this shared love map, this shared kind of idea about what drives love up. You create this real clear fondness for each other, the adoration that he needs and the security that she needs. You learn how to turn toward each other. You learn how to let go of past ills and harms through repentance. One of the big highlights is allowing your partner to influence you. So I've got this opinion of my partner. My partner shares some clarifying data. Do I maintain my opinion or do I change my opinion? Am I willing to be flexible? Am I willing to listen and gain deeper insight by gathering data and actually changing how I see things? Or do I call it my truth and firmly hang on to it? Do I believe in my truth? Or is my truth actually just my opinion? One of the things of this current, I don't want to say this generation because then I sound like the old guy that's talking about the younger generation. But as the old guy talking to the younger generation, you don't own a truth. Like, your truth is simply your opinion. If it's 115 degrees outside, the truth is it's 115 degrees based upon how we measure degrees. How hot or cool or how fun and yummy or how icky and awful 115 degrees is not a truth, it's your opinion. Now, opinions matter. They do, but your opinion's definitely not truth. Your opinion is simply your opinion, and it's what you get to govern your life by, sure. But you can't use it as a club that you wield, making everyone believe your truth or get sucked into like your truth is the only truth that matters. So your opinion matters. Truth is independent of you. And can you and your partner evolve to where you influence each other's opinions about the truth? Such a key to good marriage counseling. Overcome gridlock by solving problems that are solvable versus like trying to solve everything. Most problems that you'll have in a marriage are just manageable. They're not really solvable. And so we'll talk more about that. And then really creating this marital governing purpose together. Now, what gets in the way of that? So many times, couples will come to my office and ask me for marriage counseling, but what they're really asking for is for me to tell their partner that their partner's wrong. They just want a vote of confidence that they're right, that their lover's wrong. Everything's good now, let's go. And they literally create this me versus you with their spouse, and they have this lateral kind of weird who won the last fight in counseling. So don't go to couples counseling to get someone to tell you you're right. Go to couples counseling to allow a mentor or a coach to help you have shared governing meaning, shared purpose. Other couples go to therapy with this high-tech scorekeeping mentality. They have this row of boxes that go laterally forever. Each box is a fight, and they keep track of who won the last fight. And it's this lateral movement through life where you get a little bit of joy, like a bump in adrenaline when you win a fight. And if you lose 2 fights, you bring out the big guns and you win the next fight. And sometimes you get separated, and sometimes you even divorce. And then you go to the next relationship and you start the whole thing over again with someone else. You go through the limerence, the love, the potent, like sexy, juicy first 3 months. And then you slowly devolve into keeping score of who won the last fight, because that's how you do relationships. So this high-tech keep score mentality is not helpful for couples counseling. If you show up to my office or any marriage counselor's office, let go of who's right. Let go of keeping score. Let go of the competition and go and learn something about yourself. Go learn something about your lover. Go learn something about how they think and operate and how you think and operate, and then learn how to pull those pieces together instead of go with an agenda of being right and keeping score, okay? So many couples come to counseling thinking that it's like a microwave dinner. You know, you can make a homemade Sunday afternoon meal in 3 or 4 hours, or you can throw a box in the microwave in a minute and a half. In some microwaves, 2 minutes and a half. The idea behind it, the microwave therapy, is I want to go 2, 3, 4 sessions, done, solve the problem, give me the answers, I'll go home, we'll be fine. Most couples counseling is going to go into the years, not sessions. Now, there's a lot of internet Google search answers to 12 sessions, 10 to 12 sessions, 6 to 12 sessions. I rarely see couples counseling complete, if it's done correctly, in a year. Rarely. Like, there's times where a couple's pretty darn good. They've got shared meaning. They know how to empathize. They know how to communicate. We're going to talk about ways that you can get counseling cut down to 6 or 7 sessions, 12 sessions. But so many couples refuse to come to counseling already knowing how to communicate, already knowing how to empathize. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. So many couples have the microwave mentality. I'm going to go for 3 sessions, and then if it's not fixed, I'm out. Don't come to therapy then. Don't come to couples counseling if you think in 3 sessions you're going to be done, unless you and your partner have like a tiny question about how to parent or how to manage a certain kind of point in your marriage, and everything else is wonderful. If that's the case, maybe 3 sessions, maybe 1 session actually. Each session you'll get a product at my office. Every session you sit down with me, you'll leave with a new tool or 2, but most often you need 35 to 40 tools before you're done, and you need to make them habitually habits, yours. And so that's what takes some time. So don't look at the microwave mindset. Other couples will make the mistake of showing up to counseling keeping the same secrets that got them in counseling. So if you come to counseling, don't keep secrets from your counselor. Plan on getting rid of the secrets with your spouse. Couples counseling and secrets is like, it's like paying someone to solidify your secrets, because you keep them throughout the whole therapy and you pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars, spend hours, 50, 60 hours in counseling, and you kept all these secrets. Well, you're more invested in the secrets now than the marriage, because you've paid someone to help you keep your secrets. So go to counseling ready to let go of secrets, okay? The life of secrecy mentality will never work. It's got to be a life of transparency with your spouse. And then just tell me what to do. I have people that will walk in the door, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. That's not the goal of therapy. I can advise, I can give counsel, coaching, but in the end, you're the expert. You're the expert on your marriage, you're the expert on your personal life. You're literally the expert in everything that you want to find joy and peace. All I do is help you understand the principles of what you want. So if you want people to trust you, I'll talk with you and help you and coach you in the principle of telling the truth. Because if you tell the truth enough, people will trust you. If you want to be reliable, if you want to be a good lover, there's principles of reliability and love. And if you keep those and honor those principles, then you can have those emotional responses from the world and in the world. And it's really super fun to process and learn these principles, okay? So some of the things that will completely sabotage counseling, no matter what, I've got a list here of 5 things that I just want you to avoid coming into. Now, we gave you the list of mindsets. These are a list of attitudes. So number 1, if you numb yourself with alcohol and drugs, pornography, you can't do marriage counseling and to continue drinking, looking at porn. You can't continue doing drugs and think you're going to get anything out of the counseling. So if you come to marriage counseling as alcoholics, we got to work on the alcoholism first. Now, so many people will say, I'm not an alcoholic. I can quit drinking anytime. All right, perfect. Do. Then let's start counseling. But I don't want to quit drinking. I don't think I should have to quit drinking. I'll quit drinking Monday through Thursday, but I'll only drink Friday through Sunday. Sounds like addict talking to me, okay? So stop drinking, stop using drugs, stop looking at pornography, stop doing all of these addictive behaviors. If you're a gamer and you game instead of court your wife or husband, stop gaming. If you do nothing but think about food and eat and you're a foodie, stop eating. Okay, I get it. You can't stop eating. Point is, stop the addictions. Anything that pulls your focus compulsively away from your life and joy and your relationship joy, you have to quit. And so some of the first parts of counseling is helping people stop addictions. Now, I choose to do that with the couple in the room. If you're working on an alcohol addiction and he's working on a game addiction, we do counseling with both of you together on your different addictions. If he's a drinker and she's not and super healthy, we coach and we work together on allowing influence, allowing forgiveness, repentance, influence, and we help the addicted one stop the addiction with love and with deference, and then move the couple forward. So addictions have to stop. If you have the mindset that I've already tried everything and nothing works, you're going to fail in counseling, okay? If you tell the therapist every single intervention the therapist presents, I've already tried that. I've done that for years and it doesn't work. Done that. You got to lose that mindset, because everything that you've tried to do while flooded, or while your partner's flooded, or while you have other naughty mindsets, like I'm drinking to numb myself and I tried making agreements around intimacy. Well, it doesn't work because your partner is not trusting you because you're drinking. Or I have all these secrets, but I try to make agreements over here. Well, even if your partner doesn't know the secrets, you do, and you know you're less than honest, and so these agreements aren't. So you understand, everything you've tried before you get coaching from me at my office doesn't count. We have to try them again, and we have to see what actually works while a coach watches over you the mischief to see if we can clear stuff up. Keep everybody unflooded, make new agreements using the same processes. You might find that the principles work. So don't come to counseling with the I've already tried everything mindset. Allow for all these things that you've tried flooded, all these things that you've tried addicted, all these things that you've tried with a win-lose mentality, like had the wrong screen or filter. And so we just changed that screen and filter to one where it's, I want this to work because we have shared purpose. Now we can probably get some of those unworking solutions to be good solutions. So remember that. How about the mindset of I won't be accountable. It's not my problem. This is his problem. This is her problem. Now, in areas like betrayal, infidelity, the infidelity is the betrayer's problem, period. Nothing that I do will allow my wife to have a free pass in infidelity. I can be the worst husband in the world and she should divorce me, not cheat on me. I can be viciously mean and she should divorce me, not cheat on me, or go to counseling with me, or do something besides cheat. So we'll never blame betrayal on the spouse, the other spouse. We'll blame betrayal on a really poor choice of the betrayer. However, all around that is a life that was going somewhere incorrectly. So we deal with the betrayal standalone. There's a lot of processes there. There's the stages of atoning for it. There's the stages of sacrifice for it. There's the stages of attuning with each other, learning how to be with each other. Then there's the acceptance and the moving forward with courtship phase. All of that's around the betrayal. And now we do the marriage counseling after we do betrayal counseling. So the betrayal counseling can take up to a year. And then the marriage counseling after that can take up to another year. Okay, just keep that in mind. I know this sounds long-term, but an eternal marriage is worth it. And everybody that is an expert or a master at something gets coaching for thousands and thousands of hours. And you want to be a master at your marriage? Allow yourself to get coaching. Go ahead and finance it, budget for it, get insurance for it, whatever you have to do, because it's worth it. How about the mindset of like, I'm taking that to the grave. I'll never tell what she or he doesn't know won't hurt him. That won't work in counseling. How about the mindset of, one of the second things we do for months in counseling is learn how to be completely empathic, how to listen with empathy, how to respond with empathy, how to make agreements with empathy. What if you have the mindset of, I'm not going to do empathy until he does? I've actually heard people say, I won't do empathy because it means I give permission to just be a butt or be a jerk to me. Or I'm not going to be empathetic because it means we'll never get to an agreement. As soon as I'm empathetic, he or she thinks the problem's solved and they just move on and won't talk about it anymore. Well, some of those things might be true, but we have to learn how to not do those things because empathy is mandatory. And like literally hear me on that. Empathy in a marriage is mandatory. You have to empathize and validate other people's opinions or you can't be married. And it's that serious. And so we spend hours and hours and weeks, even months, sometimes a year on just empathy. And if you want to get ahead and cut the hours in counseling down and maybe move into just more coaching as needed, then learn what empathy actually is. Empathy is listening to understand. Empathy is allowing influence. Empathy is a lot of things, but it's not veiled permission. It's not a way to get out of the argument. It's not a way of skipping the agreement. Empathy is about getting to understand each other and stopping the competition with each other. It's super important. So get ready to do empathy if you're going to do couples counseling, or it won't work, I promise. You'll waste all your time and money. And any counselor that is trying to do counseling without teaching empathy is going to fail at the couples work. So make sure that you cover empathy no matter where you get your couples counseling. Literally, that's the second thing I do in counseling is teach empathic listening. And we won't move on from empathic listening week after week. I just tell myself, we're not going to move on until you understand empathy. Like so deep that you just naturally flow empathically through life. If you can't do that, you can't be married. And so we're going to like really cover that. We're going to labor over it in the counseling. And it gets me in trouble sometimes. Teaching empathy gets me in trouble. Yeah, because people want to get to the agreements. You can't get to agreements if you won't let go of your opinions and listen empathically and make new agreements and form new opinions. Okay, so you're creating a Saul versus Paul experience. You're moving from the old you to a new you with new understanding. You can't take your old opinions into an agreement and leave with your old opinions. Once the agreement's made, you're a new person with new agreements, new opinions. And if you're not, you're competing to win instead of listening to understand. We'll get to that. So if you want to be a master of marriage, if you want to get out of the competition and work with your partner towards greatness, there's these stages. And I'm going to go through the stages and approximately how many months I see these stages take. First stage is learning to communicate. So many couples talk at each other and they just talk and talk and talk. Learning to communicate about a marital governing purpose takes about 3 months for most couples. So you define a purpose, like our purpose together, the reason we're married is, we want to have children, raise them to be responsible citizens. We want to be eternally in love. We want to create a marriage that lasts for all eternity throughout this life and be filled with joy and peace and happiness. Boom. Now we learn to communicate not at each other, but towards that purpose. So let's say I'm running off to Vegas and I'm gambling and flirting with hookers. My spouse and I can communicate about that, and we can talk about how that doesn't fit our marital governing purpose. Like, what part of flirting with hookers helps me have a long-lasting, lifelong marriage with this woman that I'm with? Probably nothing, because she would kill me and bury me in the desert, and she can. The reality is if we're talking about externalizing the problem that's happening in the marriage, communicating about it with the vision of our purpose in mind, we're not competing with each other. We're communicating with each other about a shared goal. Make sense? So you have to agree on the shared purpose, and that takes some time because you both have strong opinions. You both are either maybe even angry and high conflict. You're upset with each other. There's been betrayal. There's been all kinds of fighting and warfare going on. To get to a shared vision can be a feat sometimes, and so I allow for 3 months for that. Stages of empathy is second. So once you learn how to communicate with each other, not at each other, you take about 6 months. So now we're into it 9 months. You take about 6 months to learn how to communicate with empathy. So empathic listening is when you listen for the other person's opinion and you learn to understand it, and you share that you do understand them and you understand where that opinion comes from. Now, here's the old guy again. This idea that there's my truth out there floating around. I think what you're really trying to say is my opinion, and you want to say it cooler, so you say my truth. Well, the reality is that your opinion is something that you formed by gathering data from your birth till now. The reason you know that a chair has 4 legs and a seat back and a stool has a place for your butt and 3 legs is because you've memorized a schemata of a chair or a stool. Well, you memorize schematas of what sex looks like, what marriage looks like, what friendship and what an evening watching TV looks like. You got all these opinions about what things look like. So if you're watching TV with your spouse and she hates the movie and you love the movie, the truth is that you're watching a movie. That's the only truth. Whether it's a good movie or a bad movie is completely, there's not my truth. Well, my truth about this is it's a very worthwhile movie. No, your opinion is it's a very worthwhile movie. So if you use it as your truth, you're basically saying, I can't change my opinion, because you can't change truth. Like, if your truth is gravity works, then okay, it's kind of everybody's truth, because you don't own that one. That one's God-given. So truth is gravity works. Now, my opinion is stepping off my house from the top floor is scary. Your opinion might be that it'd be adrenaline-packed and fun. So think through that lens. Like, your truth is not your truth. Your truth is your opinion, and your opinion can gather new data and change. So if I think it's going to be fun to step off my house and I see someone do it, I'm gathering data. Oh, they died because it's 3.5 stories up and there's concrete everywhere because it's all around a pool, and they missed the pool. So new data, I'm going to change my opinion. Get it? You didn't change the truth of gravity. You changed your opinion about 3 stories up jumping. And so be willing to change your opinion by gathering data from your spouse. That's called empathy. Empathy is validating your partner's experience. You're not telling them that they're truth-filled or right or wrong. You're saying, I understand where you're coming from. I understand, given the data you've received, that makes perfect sense. I understand why you're hurting. You're not saying that it's okay. You're not saying that it's like now a governing truth for us. You're just saying you get it because you've listened. That's empathy. Empathy is allowing your partner to influence your beliefs. So many times I'll have a couple talking and they'll say, I understand you. I understand where you're coming from, but I still feel like I'm right and this is how it's going to be. Well, that wasn't empathy, really. That was just patience in listening and then carrying on with your opinion. Allow your partner's opinion to influence your opinion. Allow the conversation to move forward by allowing influence with new data. If you didn't gather new data throughout your life and change your opinions, you would all still be in diapers and letting people take care of you. You'd never grow through adolescence into adulthood and get married and have kids in the first place. So you gather new data all the time and you change your opinions of the world all the time. Why not let your partner that you love influence you more than anyone else? Make sense? By the way, man, through a huge study by Dr. John Gottman, our wives are way more adept at allowing influence than we are. So catch up with your spouse if that's the case. So empathy is allowing your partner to influence you. Empathy means that you focus on both the logic and the emotion. Now, I've got clients that'll come in and he's a logician. He's logical and she's emotional, like a moving target. And he thinks she's a moving target. I don't like that emotion. And she thinks he's like just operational. It's just surface operations. And they're both kind of right. So logical people are super good at organizing operations. They're good at making sure that they get to work. They make enough money. They budget. They know when to get the kids to their different things. They're logical about life. They might not have a skill set of all of the logical rules of life, but they're very logical, very operational. Emotional people are not very operational. They're very emotion-packed. Now, that doesn't mean an emotional person can't get stuff done. They get stuff done, but it's all emotional. And the target's moves based upon how they feel. Now, we want both. We want to manage our life by managing our operational side and our intimate side. We want to create unity. And so if he's strong logic, lean into him. And if she's strong emotional, lean into her. If he's strong emotion, lean into him. And if she's strong logic, lean into her, and create this unified look at both logic and emotion. So if I'm logical and I start the conversation with, I think that, and I give some logic, now my wife has to join me logic first because I started the conversation with thinking. So we'll cover that, then we'll get to the emotional side of it. If she starts the conversation emotionally, like I feel sad or I feel happy or I feel scared, and I say, well, don't feel scared because here's some logic that'll kill the scared. See, that's just going to blow up. I have to validate and understand her fear, and then together we go to solutions. Or I have to validate and see the solutions and then bring in, but how about these feelings that this has created? How about we need to do some repenting and forgiving as part of the process? So both are important and both have to be, you can't go to war over who's right, logic and operations or emotion and being able to like feel your way through things because they both matter. All right, so empathy means focusing on both logic and emotion. Empathy is allowing your partner to influence you. Empathy is validating your partner's experience, whether you agree with it or not. It's not the issue. It's allowing them to have their experience and treating it as valid as your own. Empathy is listening, like actively listening for the opinion of the other. Empathy is about letting go of my truth and understanding that there is truth and there's strongly held beliefs. These strongly held beliefs are flexible and changeable with more information, okay? And empathy is also about listening and agreeing that that's how your experience is based on everything that you know, not agreeing that they're right or wrong. So keep that in mind. So we understand empathy, we understand how that takes, literally it can take 6 weeks, it can take longer. Empathy's the place where most couples that are going to quit counseling quit because they don't want to empathize. They don't want to feel that they need to change how they feel. And so that's a big one. Empathy's a big one. Create shared meaning. Now, we talked about that earlier. This takes about 2 months. Once you know how to communicate and you've got this governing purpose like started, you learn how to empathize and have influence. Now we go back to the start and we create a governing marital purpose that has this potent shared meaning that it creates values that we have in common. It creates a certain fidelity and faithfulness and loyalty to each other. And it allows influence towards this shared governing purpose. And so we need to create that solid. We need to understand what is our mission statement as a married couple. Why are we doing it? What's our purpose? What's our end result, if you will? It's not a set of goals. That comes later. It's a altruistic purpose that you can use for the rest of eternity. Okay? It'll evolve a little bit. It'll mature, but it won't change. If our purpose is to have peace and love, it won't change to war and hate, okay? Does that make sense? So we have this create shared meaning that we can communicate about and share empathy about and learn from each other about, okay? Then we create mutually acceptable agreements in therapy. So now we've got the communicate stage that's, what do we say, about 3 months. Empathy stage that's 6 months. We've got the create shared meaning that's 2 months. Now we're at 11 months. Now we got create a mutually set of agreements that are acceptable to both of us. We learn how to be accountable to each other. I'm accountable for my side of the street. She's accountable for her side of the street. And then we bring them together with that permeable line and we court and fall in love and stay in love. That's another 3 months generally. So now we're at a year and 2 months. And then the final stage really is an aftercare stage. We teach couples how to flirt, how to like communicate intimately, how to make love intimately, how to be together intimately. And in that courtship, that is what we call the aftercare phase, and it goes for decades. I've got clients that in the 34 years I've practiced, they still circle back for a yearly check-in. I had this couple that's in their 80s come and check in. And one of the first things that she said is like, you saved our marriage when you told me to let him golf whenever the hell he wants. And I don't remember saying that ever, but she does. And she said that it was life-changing. And so remember, your coach can be your mentor and coach for decades. Doesn't mean you can't get new opinions, new ideas. That's great. But I'm available for my clients forever, and I think it's a good aftercare program. So there you have it, and the aftercare, I won't put a month on it, but you can see how it's easy, just a few months over a year, and couples that get hung up on the first 2 stages can drag it out for an extra year. The other stages, once you know how to communicate and empathize, everything else goes easy. So if you want to cut down your time to microwave counseling hours, like 6 to 12 sessions, learn to communicate with humility, learn to empathize with the idea that you don't own truth, that everyone has an opinion and they all matter, okay? Everybody's opinion is honest, integritous, and you just have to go there. You can't be cynical or you'll fail. Got it? Okay, we'll talk to you again.